is by hitting the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Then you'll know when we're going live anyways. It's a win-win. Another thing we've got going on right now is promo code college, which is for our college basketball DFS projections. They're now behind a paywall, but we're running this promo code college where you can get them for just $4.98 for your first week of the CBB projections. I'm seeing that our stream has died. Tyler, are you seeing that or no?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I got a couple messages saying that the stream died. From Cliffy, DM me, and then I mean this will be a good listen on the podcast for the 12 listeners that we get over there. But yeah, everyone's saying stream dead. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Let me give this a minute here. Streamed 6 minutes ago on YouTube, 91 views. Okay, so that stream is ended, it looks like. So we're going to pop out another stream. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Yeah. On the podcast, is this going to all be one thing? I think it is. No, it actually won't because I'll have to we're back in action. Can see you looking good. Seth says, wow, Seth being nice today. He must have binked over on Yahoo or something last night. The good news is I was just talking about a promo. So let me run that back really quick. We've got promo code college going on. It is for our college basketball projections. They're not behind a paywall. $4.98 for your first week of college basketball DFS. This is just in time for March Madness. I'm sure Josh will be degenerately betting all the college basketball games. Do you bet college basketball at all?
I don't. I mean,
during the tournament?
The last time I think I watched a college basketball game was when Rutgers still had like Quincy Doobie and Hamday. What was his name? I don't even know. It was like way back in the day. I don't really do college sports, but if we're getting, promo code, we're getting some good stuff, I'll dabble. Yeah,
I'll be on the DFS side for sure with those college basketball projections. This offer is only valid through this Sunday, the 28th. So there's only 28 days in February this year, I believe. Yeah, it's an odd year. So, it's the even years, every other even year, it's a leap year. It's not this year. So once it turns over to March, this deal will no longer be valid. So take advantage. Under $5 for your first week of college basketball DFS. Try them out. Not a lot of people are probably using projections for a sport like college basketball. It's a niche sport. There's probably a little bit of money to be made, and you are going to be in a good spot if you've got solid projections. And if they're on the site, they're going to be good projections. So I will be looking forward to using those, especially come tournament time. Thank you, everyone, for joining us back on this stream. Can't really say what actually happened there, but the stream just died on the other link. So tell your friends to come over here if they're looking for the NHL DFS picks, like the title says. Although we don't really talk about picks that much. We're not like that touty, I guess. We more talk about like strategy and such. But maybe we do tout picks actually. Now that I think of it, I've got some for later. Let's start with the Penguins and the Capitals. 3.1 implied total for the Pens, 3.3 for the Caps. Tristan Jarry and Vitek Vanacek going in net here. And normal Pittsburgh lines that we've seen the last couple of games, Kapanen with Crosby, Gensel, Malkin, Zucker, and Rust. Third line remains the same. Bluger, Aston Reese, and Brandon Tanev. I'm definitely going to be dipping down to some third lines. I don't know if I'm going to in this game, but that was the easy part of this game. The Caps have gone full blender mode since their Sunday afternoon game. And it's going to be Lars Eller with Ovechkin and Tom Wilson. Evgeny Kuznetsov with Vrana and Sheary. Backstrom with Oshie and Panic. Big total. I don't know which line I like, if any, on the cap side. The Penguins are probably a little bit easier to talk about here, but for a one lineup guy, are you considering any of these lines tonight in GPPs?
Well, so I was trying to dig through some line matching stuff here because it's going to be important to see who actually gets the Crosby line. But the last couple games, the Capitals at home have been sending out this Nick Dowd line against the top competition. Now, I don't know if these line changes are going to be for defensive reasons. It's got to be, because it's not for offensive reasons. Like, is the Lars Eller line going to get Crosby? They're probably their best defensive line at 5-on-5 is probably this Oshie Backstrom panic line. But I just don't know how they're going to match up. So, like, in a one lineup scenario, it's very tough to go Capitals here because you don't know who's going to get the Crosby line. I don't really want to go against Crosby and Gensel. It's just a pair that I don't do. So let's just, for the sake of assumption, we'll say that they're going to send the Dowd line back out against Crosby. If that's the case, I probably want some of. I mean, a full line is just tough here. I'd probably, one off Ovechkin. If I had to go for a full line, if I knew they're going to avoid Crosby, it's probably going to be Oshie, Backstrom, Panic. And that doesn't really excite me too much anyway. So, like, in MME, yeah, maybe I'd dabble a little bit on that third line. I'd probably do a little bit of a power play scenario just because, Yari's not that good of a goalie. Their PK, their penalty kill is middle of the pack. So, I mean, like, you can maybe exploit there. But, like, the power play is over 3 even strength lines, so it's kind of tough. So, on the Capital side, it would probably be down to, that third line a little bit of Ovechkin, Karlsson, 2-man, which is really expensive. But there's a bunch of good filler lines tonight. Mm-hmm. And then on the Pittsburgh side, assuming that Dowd line goes against Crosby or the Eller line goes against Crosby, the Malkin line is going to get a really good matchup 5-on-5 here, especially if they're going against Kuznetsov. So if I'm going to the Pittsburgh side, I really want Pittsburgh 2 here, Malkin, Rust, and Zucker. And then the last show I was on, I think, it was Saturday. Me and Cliffy had a pointed conversation about Letang, how we're not going to one-off him, how maybe we're going to leave him off power play stack. And what did he do? He had 2 goals. So I think it's a similar situation. Like, you don't have to put in Letang, and I still certainly wouldn't one-off him. But if you're going pit 1 or pit 2, I think you can put in Letang.
Yeah. I mean, I like Letang's more just a correlation play for me. And I think I'm gravitating more towards that Malkin, Zucker, Russ line. Now, that's not to say that I'm scared of Washington 4 matching Crosby line. I think it's just going to be a really good 5-on-5 matchup for the Malkin line. They're not strong defensively. So there's certainly some options for the Caps here. I mean, it is a big total, so it's not like I'm ignoring this game. I think my favorite line, probably factoring in ownership especially, is the Kuznetsov, Verana, Connor Sheary line. They were going up against the Devils. I want to say, was it the Devils on Sunday afternoon that they played? Anyways, they smashed at 5-on-5. So, maybe this is going to be a quality line, gets clean up on some of these second and third lines for opposing teams when they're at home. So I'll take some shots on them. The correlation stinks for them, but that's going to make them a very low-owned combo, even for a 6-game slate. Or the other way to go on the Cap side, in my opinion, is some sort of power play stack with, the main guys. So you get in Ovi, you get in Verana, you get in 1 or 2 of Backstrom and Oshie and Karlsson, and you just hope for, they outperform their implied goal total here. So they get 4 or 5. Pittsburgh goaltending has not been stellar so far this season. And, you get exposure to all 3 of those lines that way. So you're going to need, power play goal or 2 in order for that to pay off. But I think that's going to be another pretty low owned combo, the 4 or 5 man power play stack. And 7K Karlsson is tough, but if you're not getting to guys like Yossi and some of the other top defensemen, I wouldn't say like Karlsson is much worse of a play than, let's see, what's the price on the Montreal guys? They've been way priced up.
Petry's got to be up there.
Petry's at 6,500. So, like, I think I'd take Karlsson even with the increased ownership.
Carlson, if you're going power play, like Carlson's always involved on their power play goals.
Yeah.
He's always the one passing it over to Ovi's in the office, just claps it in.
Mm-hmm.
So he usually gets the primary assist on the Ovi goals.
Yeah, and if you're not running just 3-3s, Ovi, one of the better one-offs up there with guys like McDavid for me tonight. I don't usually one-off. I like to get at least 2 forwards correlated for like all my lineups. But if I was doing a lot of one-offs, I think Ovi would come up quite a bit for me. Quality projection for his expensive price tag. Anything else in this game? Any other punt defenseman or lower price defenseman that you're looking at?
Mike Matheson, yeah. I mean, his price is creeping up now. He's 3,400. I still think you can go there. When he gets into like the 37, 38, even like up to like 4,100, that kind of range, you have to like take a little bit of pause. But at 3,400 at that price for what he can do offensively, I think you can put him in.
Jeff says Eller, Ovi, 2-man. Yeah, that's fine as well. I was like taking the center with Ovi if I'm doing a 2-man. You could go Wilson, Ovi. Those would probably be your more likely goal scorers, but probably want the cheaper Eller at 3,300, centering Ovi. Pretty good 2-man there as well. So not going with a ton of conventional stacks on the Capitals, but definitely going to have exposure spread out throughout the 3 lines. And just wanted to point out the ownership on that Kuznetsov line and what they did on the Kuznetsov line. Oh boy. All right.
We got the dogs going for Kuzi.
I was waiting for it. Yeah, I was trying to stall there. All right, so the dogs like the Kuznetsov line, so we'll note that. Maybe we'll get the second stack in the nut lineup as we go throughout the show.
Really, it's just my Chihuahua getting the other dogs away so she can steal the bone. But we'll say it's the Kuznetsov line.
Kuznetsov line sounds like that to me. I think that's all I've got in this game. You have anything more you wanted to add?
Goalies only in GPPs if you're correlating. But
all right.
Yeah.
Blackhawks and the Blue Jackets, 2.6 implied total for the Hawks. It is a 3 flat implied total for the Jackets. Lankinen and Korpisalo are your goalies. We were DMing a little bit earlier today, as we do most days. And I was talking about the Blue Jackets being one of my least favorite teams for DFS. Is there anything you could talk me into on the Blue Jackets side here? I'm not going to have 0 of them. I never have 0 of a team on a 6-game slate. Not never, but almost never. I think I'm just going to do my normal Blue Jackets thing and just kind of spread it out. Hope to hit the one line, or this game stays quiet and I don't spend a lot of my lineups on the Blue Jackets. But is there anything that you love for this Columbus side?
I mean, there's nothing I really love. I mean, this is, I guess it's a good matchup. Like, the Hawks are supposed to be terrible, and they're actually like overperforming so far this season. Their defensive numbers are coming back down to earth a little bit here, but the line A Roslovic Atkinson line is fully correlated power play 1. Their numbers so far haven't been great. It's not a terrible 5-on-5 matchup for them, but like if I'm going to play them, it's really for the power play. From the Columbus side, if there's something I'm going to get to, this Stenlund Bjorkstrand Grigorenko line is going to see the depth of Chicago, and that's where you really want to take advantage of. If you want to leave out Mikhail Grigorenko, there you go, $3.99. Get in the chat. You can make fun of me for that one. But Stenlund Bjorkstrand, they're both on power play 2. Torts kind of splits time with their power play units, so I wouldn't imagine many people are clicking in 4,300 Kevin Stenlund tonight. So, I mean, like the Stenlund-Bjorkstrand combo on power play 2 with Andrew Peak, I think, is their power play 2 quarterback. That's a nice little cheap way at low ownership to attack the depth of the Hawks. The other game, their last game, the Columbus third line was fully correlated on power play 2, but they kind of mixed it up. Foligno's back on power play 1. I think if you need like a cheap one-off on power play 1, you can go Nick Foligno. I wish Alexander Texier was on the power play. So that third line, I'm kind of off from a power play perspective because 1's not on the power play. Jenner's on power play 2. Foligno's on power play 1. But they're also a cheap filler stack. You can play 5-on-5 if you need to get there. But really, the Blue Jackets, for me, it's going to be pieces of that second line. And I'll have, if I'm going to power play stack, it will be that top line. On the Blackhawks side, I do really like this DeBrincat Kane combo. You can leave off Suter if you want. You can put him in. He's 4,800. He's overpriced and he's not on the same power play. But with Merzlikins out, like Korpisalo isn't as good of a goalie, in my opinion. Werenski's still out. They're poor defensively.
I don't know how to interpret that one. You're talking about guy who's not in. So
me either. Maybe they're pouring one out for Merzlikins. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like the DeBrincat Kane combo, they're 15-5 just as a pair. Like it's tough to get them in. So like I don't know if like in like MME, if you're gonna get weird and you're gonna fully power play stack like a cheap power play 2 that sees ice time, you can put them in as your 2-man. Or if you're doing like some other cheap combos, you can get them DeBrincat and Kane. Like I do want a little bit of DeBrincat and Kane on the slate, just because with like Ovechkin and McDavid, they're probably going to go overlooked a little bit. Mm-hmm. But imagine their ownership's a bit depressed. And this is Columbus Blue Jackets team without their best goalie, without Werenski. And they're still in the bottom 5 in the NHL with actual goals against per 60. So that's something I want to attack.
Yeah, right now on the top stack tool, the Chicago 1 line, so they're 20,300 over on DraftKings, the highest top 2 stack percentage. Which is a little bit surprising because of the 2.6 implied total. But again, it's one of those things where like we're playing for like the 80th, 90th percentile outcomes. Like if they outperform here, if they score 3 or 4, you could be getting the 3-point bonus out of 1 or 2 of those top line guys. And like they could easily have a tournament winning performance without the Blackhawks having to score 6 goals. So I think that's where we're getting the high top 2 stack percentage. Maybe it comes down a little bit. I think Edmonton will probably come up a little bit. I might be a little low on the minutes for Puljujarvi because I think he's dipped down a little bit over the last couple of games. But yeah, on the Chicago side, it's pretty easy for me. It's either that top line or pretty much nothing outside of just a couple MMA flyers here and there on the rest of those lines. On the Blue Jackets, when I ran my crunch earlier and sorted all my lineups out, I got to some of that Jenner, Foligno, Texier line just because of the low ownership. A few lineups of Columbus 1 and a few lineups of that Stenlund line that you like a little bit. I like the Stenlund-Bjorkstrand duo. I think that's pretty good there for 8,500. So I like the call there. Just the line in total isn't all that appealing to me, as is the case with most of the Columbus lines. I will say, though, like this could be a spot where I feel pretty dumb after the slate. You've got a 3 implied total team against at home against a team in Chicago that hasn't been terrible defensively, but certainly isn't like some juggernaut. And they're fully correlated for, what are they, 18,000. So they're 100 less than Buffalo, who we'll get to in a couple games from now. And I think I would rather have them than Buffalo 1, Eichel, Olofsson, and Reinhart. But don't quote me on that just yet. I just like logically thinking through this. If the ownership's going to be similar on those 2 lines, I think I would rather have Columbus, but no ringing endorsements for anyone here outside of maybe some Seth Jones at 5,900, just going to play a lot of minutes. His rates aren't that good this season, so play at your own risk. But that's kind of where I'm going here. Some Korpisalo, I got to about 10% so far. It's just whatever. It's mostly a correlation play. Any defensemen on the Hawks side? DeHaan, Mitchell, Connor Murphy. Do you think he comes right in and plays a bunch of minutes here? That was the one question I had.
I don't know. Like, are they going to run like 11? They could run 11-7 to limit his minutes. You just don't know. Like,
yeah,
I don't want anything to do with Duncan Keith. 5,200. That's a pass for me. Lucas Carlson, maybe. Like, if he's going to get the minutes, he's min priced. But like, I really. If I had to play somebody, it'd probably be Calvin DeHaan just for his peripherals, but like I'm not really interested in anyone on the Hawks defense tonight.
Yeah, DeHaan was kind of a machine at times early. Was it last season or was he with Carolina last season? I can't remember. But yeah, he had a couple games where he was blocking shots all over the place because I think he was on the Hawks for a while last year. I might have my years mixed up, but I think he had a run where he was blocking a ton of shots because Chicago was just getting caved every night. But yeah, some DeHaan's fine for 3,500. People like Savard as well, 3,600 on the Blue Jackets. I never get to Savard on Savard nights.
I'd rather use Gavrikov, or is that how you pronounce it? Yeah, no, he's on the pair with Jones. Yeah, Gavrikov.
All right. Let's go to Montreal and Ottawa. 3.5 implied total for the Canadiens, 2.5 for the Sens. Carey Price and Matt Murray are your expected goalies here. Saw this one the other night. Montreal 2 scored right off the bat. We thought it was Montreal onslaught night. And then they ended up losing the game, only got one more the rest of the game, lost in overtime. And so the Sens, I think they're like the complete opposite of team like the Blue Jackets and Nashville for DFS. Like they always, it feels like all their games have a decent amount of scoring, or at least a decent amount of shots. You get the goalies being in play on both sides. It's only a 2.5 implied total for them. I think we're both going to be on Montreal pretty heavily. You like anything on the Sens side though?
Yeah, I mean, I like this Brady Tkachuk Norris combo. I'm not like huge on Josh Norris, but he's on power play 1. Brady Tkachuk is the straw that stirs the drink for the Senators. I mean, he's just really good fantasy player. His price has come down. He was like up in the 7,000s for a while there. This is a tough 5-on-5 matchup, but the one thing that you can exploit is the Montreal Canadiens take a ton of penalties. So I think you can definitely get some Senators power play action in there. Dadonoff's still on the power play, 3,400. He's down on the third line. But I mean, if you want to go like Tkachuk, Norris, Stützle, and Chabot, like I think that's definitely reasonable. You just from a 5-on-5 matchup, you don't really want like to attack the Canadians. It's just not something you want to do. Right. But like this is definitely exploitable from a power play perspective. And then on the Canadian side, like I would imagine the Norris line is gonna get the Danault line, and the Colin White line is going to get the Suzuki line. So I think I actually like the Danault line a little bit better than the Suzuki line now. I think Colin White, Dadonoff, and Paul is their best defensive line. So I would want to do some Toffoli, Danault, Gallagher. Again, we don't play that line for the power play correlation. We do it for the 5-on-5. Toffoli up there. Ozzy, come here. We do it for the 5-on-5, but Toffoli at 7,300, I think, brings that line up to more expensive, where people are going to leave Danault off even more often. So I think it's kind of like a Chandler Stevenson situation with the Vegas. Like if you leave him off, he could score. Like Danault is actually a good player. So like I'm definitely going to include him in all my Montreal 1 stuff.
Yeah.
Despite the matchup, I do still want Montreal 2 in MME. I don't know if I do them 1 to 3 lineups, but 20 max, 150 max, I definitely have some MME. And then Montreal 3 I like as well. Tatar, Kotkaniemi, and Joel Armia going against Stepan and Batherson. That line is pretty high event both ways. So, Montreal 3 is a nice filler stack. If you want to even go Ottawa 2, that's probably the best 5-on-5 matchup on the Ottawa side that you're going to get. So in review, I definitely want some Sens 1 for the power play, some Sens power play. Montreal 1 is my favorite line. And then I'd probably go Montreal 3 as a cheap line, and then I'd have some MME Montreal 2.
Yeah, I'm going to be spread out on these Montreal lines as we have been pretty much the whole season. Just good sustained numbers throughout their lineup in their top 9. It's nice too when they have a high total because the ownership is spread out. I think we might be undershooting the Montreal 2 ownership.
Their price hasn't gone anywhere this season.
Yeah, like I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but like $7,300 Toffoli, I think is going to turn some people off, especially like the full stack. You mentioned Danault, not a guy who shoots a lot, and he's 4,100, so it's not like he's free. But yeah, I agree with you on Montreal 1. That's my favorite line in this game. Not really a bad matchup for them. They don't have amazing numbers so far, but I think they had a couple of really tough matchups against Edmonton 1, and I want to say Toronto 1 in their first couple. That's kind of skewing things for their first few games.
Corsi numbers are really good. They're just the generation isn't that great, but they've had brutal matchups the first 3-4 games. So
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, so if you can get these guys well below double digits in ownership, I'm all over that. I've got about double, triple the field right now, and I feel pretty comfortable with that on the Toffoli, Dano, and Gallagher line. If you just want to play, the good DFS players on that line, Toffoli, Gallagher, that's a pretty good two-man, but it is very pricey. So looking at the top stacks tool, they're showing positive leverage as well. If you guys care about that, Montreal 2 is going a little bit over-owned at this moment in time. The defenseman is where it gets tough for me on the Montreal side, just because Petrie's 6,500. Like, I like playing him, especially in past seasons when he's been at that like $4,500 to $5,500 mark. But 6,500, I mean, this guy's not Yossi. This guy's not Brent Burns caliber of player. So he's probably not going to have a lot of ownership. But if you wanted to go to him, you probably want to add in Montreal 1 or Montreal 2 to get him with Toffoli or get him with Drouin and Nick Suzuki. On the Ottawa side for me, man, I keep wanting to play a lot of this Ottawa 1 line, but the correlation stinks for them too. They don't have amazing 5-on-5 numbers. And so I'm finding myself getting to more Ottawa 2, White, Paul, and Dadenoff, and even some Ottawa 3, Stepan Stetzel and Batherson. So probably not a whole lot on the Ottawa side for me. Some shares of Ottawa 1, like I mentioned, some shares of all three of the lines. But this game, outside of Montreal 1, kind of separating from the pack, not a whole lot of exposure on any other line, but just kind of some exposure everywhere. So I've got one hammer game where I'm going very heavy on. So far, I think I've been kind of all over the place, but you guys will see why, at least what I plan to do later. And then I forgot to mention Thomas Chabot is a game time decision, but it sounds like he's going to play tonight. So do with that what you will. You will know prior to lock, which is the good part. Anything else here?
The Ottawa goalie is up in question, right? Like Joey Decord or whatever was in the starters net this morning. But
I think the coach said it was going to be Murray, though. Like they just gave him the morning off. But yeah, keep an eye on that for sure. Because I saw that Decord and then some other guy I'd never heard of. I'd never heard of Decord until a couple days ago. But maybe Murray's nursing something. I don't know if it's something to do. It could be swelling and may not be able to go. So always something to keep an eye on, especially with the cheap goalie that's going to see a lot of volume. Good Branson, 2,700, your boy. I'm kidding.
I'd rather play Brandstrom for 2,700.
Yeah. So would I.
Than good Brandstrom over Good Branson.
I know. At first I thought they were the same people. They spell Eric the same way. But yeah, Brandstrom for me as well. If you're going for a cheap Ottawa defenseman. Before we move it on, if you want to check out the projections today, those are free. I'm working on those throughout the morning, throughout the afternoon, and updating with anything important after lock as well. NHL projections free today only, NBA rankings and PGA rankings as well. We've got a bunch of NBA shows coming on in about 27 minutes. So be sure to check those out if you're playing NBA DFS. And if you want to get a peek behind the paywall, NBA rankings, again, are free today. If you haven't followed us already on Twitter, we've got a ton of accounts, but the ones I want to point out are the Awesemo NHL account. If you need some highlights in your life, just can't get enough hockey, and you also want some DFS news, at Awesemo NHL is where you're going to find that. And then we're giving away 30 free weekly passes on our main account, Awesemo_com. So give us a follow there. You got a chance to win a weekly pass because we are almost at 30,000 followers. And then, as always, we're going to be uploading this show on our podcast network on both the main channel and the Awesemo NHL DFS channel. We've got a podcast for every sport, and we're available on every major platform, whether you listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any of the other 50 of them. We're probably on there. So just write us a 5-star review on one of our podcasts, pick your favorite, and you got a chance to win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. So a lot of good stuff. Only takes a few seconds of your time, liking, subscribing, and all that, and helps you support us and helps us give you free stuff as well, potentially. Buffalo, New Jersey. 2.5 implied total for the Sabres. 3 for the Devils. Probably Carter Hutton because Buffalo played last night and it was Allmark. Blackwood is confirmed for the Devils. And this is not a game that I'm in love with, but what jumps out to you here?
I want to like Buffalo top line, but I just don't. Like, I want to get behind Reinhart, Eichel, Olofsson, but like they're probably going to see the Zajac line. Like, yeah, they haven't played together much, but Zajac's their best defensive center. Buffalo 1 has been terrible 5-on-5, where they do their damages on the power play. So if you want to play it for the power play, that's perfectly fine. 5-on-5 matchup's not that great. On the Buffalo side, if I had to pick a line, it'd probably be the Hall, Stahl, and Dylan Cousins line. I don't really love that line either. I'd probably dabble a little bit. I have a couple shares in MME if I was playing 150. If I was playing 20, I'd maybe have 1 or 2. But yeah, I mean, my focus on this game is probably on this Devil side, the Andreas Janssen, Jack Hughes, Kyle Palmieri line. They're going to get the depth. They try to get Jack Hughes up against the depth of teams. So Janssen is 2,700, Palmieri 5,300 power play 1. Jack Hughes is off the top power play. I'm not sure that sticks the entire game. Maybe Hischier moves down or Zacha moves down, but like as a line, it's the Janssen Hughes Palmieri line. If you want a cheap duo for power play 1, Hischier Zacha are 6,100. I think you can do that as well. Put them in with PK Subban at 4,400, get a nice little 3-man going there. But yeah, this game as a whole, I'd probably just be underweight in single entry, 3 max, 20 max, 150 max for me.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be underweight kind of across the board. The one line I may get over the field on is Stahl, Hall, and Cousins. It's mostly just because Taylor Hall is carrying the play on that line. Stahl can still do some things in his old age. Cousins gets PP2 time with Stahl. So a couple things to like there. They also don't get the toughest matchup. Not that there's a very tough one on the Devils, but they haven't been terrible defensively so far. I wanted to like the Devils lines, but as is the case when you've got a slate with Ovi and McDavid, there's no McKinnon tonight, but like you've got things you want to spend up for elsewhere. People are just going to slam the values in order to fit them in. Like you got to get under the salary cap, right? And I think a lot of that ownership is going to be on these Devils top 2 lines. You got a line for 13-3, the Palmieri line, and then you've got a 10K flat line that's going to see 15, 16, 17 minutes especially for Nico and probably Bratt as well. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be too popular of a filler for me to get to double digits on any of these lines. So I will have some, and I do want to mix them in with some 2-mans like Hughes, Palmieri, Hischier, Zaka, something like that. So I will be doing some of that, but yeah, the ownership is scaring me off on a team that I don't love. And I feel like people are just going to jam them in because they're cheap and not necessarily because this is an awesome spot.
I mean, Carter Hutton is Carter Hutton. So, I mean, like, it might be deserved. It might not. I don't know. We'll find out. I mean, but Zaka power play 1 for 6,100 is definitely going to be popular.
Yeah. I mean, and I get it. Maybe we're like overshooting them on ownership. But like, it's just so easy. I'm on the lineup builder right now. When you put in Nico, Zaka, and let's just put it in like Palmieri, you have 6,433 per player remaining with the rest of your 6 spots. Like, you put in any sort of cheap goalie and you can basically play whatever you want. So I just think they're going to be very popular with Edmonton 1. I think I'm more likely to play them with some like mid-tier lines, maybe like Montreal 1, some of the Montreal lines, and then spend up and leave some salary on the table than I am to like fill out a 50K lineup with like the Devils' highest owned players. So just an ownership thing for me. If you like them as a value, if you think it's a great spot, I'm certainly not going to talk anyone off of that, I don't think. I'm getting to some Ty Smith for 3,700. He's okay. That's about as good of things as I can say about Ty Smith right now, get some secondary power play time. And then I'm going back to the Matt Irwin 2,700. He played 21 minutes last night. And this guy blocked shots back to back. Maybe the team's tired. Like he's willing to block shots. And that is something, especially for 2,700. If he gets anywhere close to 21 minutes, I think he's kind of a jam him in kind of player that people won't be on. So yeah, just had to say my Irwin piece, but that's all I've got on this game. Anything else?
I like Mackenzie Blackwood tonight. I think he's one of the goalies that I'd consider to put in my lineups without correlating in Devils. 7,800, he's still under that like 8,000 threshold, and I still think he could see decent volume. So Mackenzie Blackwood. If you want to throw in Carter Hutton on your Buffalo stacks, that's fine. I mean, but I don't think I'd want off Carter Hutton.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's go to the Preds and the Red Wings. We'll speed through this one quick to get to the main course of the night, the late night hammer. 3 implied total for the Preds, 2.5 for the Red Wings. It's going to be Rene's likely. I think he's $200 cheaper than Saros, and this is the second to last game of the slate to lock. So if you wanted to be very safe, you could start with Saros and swap down that extra 200. But it is Jonathan Bernier. He's the likely goalie on the other side. I don't know if he's actually going to start. It could be Grice. I don't think Detroit played last night. Most important part of this game, well, second most important is the Johansson news, I suppose, back on line 3 for the Preds. We don't really care about that because Larkin and Mantha are expected to start together with good old Darren Helm, $2,500.
Have you seen their numbers together this season, though?
This season? Have they haven't played together?
I'll fill you in on their numbers this season. They played, I think, like 50, or maybe like in total, 51 minutes.
I've seen their number. I looked from 2018 until present day, and they're like, I mean, it just goes to show how good Larkin and Mantha are together at 5-on-5. Like they can make Darren Helm part of a very, very good 5-on-5 line. But yeah, they have awesome numbers together over time. Are you playing them?
I don't know because like,
I mean, you were digging deep on them, so it sounds like you're at least interested in playing them for one lineup, which says a lot when you've got a lot of other spots. But they are that good at 5-on-5.
I got to do my due diligence on everybody, and it's just like these Preds lines, like Forsberg, Granlund, Arvidsson. They're probably going to see the Larkin line for as good as they are. Like offensively, they're probably. Granlund, when's the last time Granlund's, besides last game, played center? Like 2018, 2017?
Well, I think even like maybe 2015 for the Wild back in the day. But that's like I can remember him centering a line with like Zucker and like guys like that. But maybe like Thomas Vanek. But yeah, it hasn't been for a while before that last game.
Assuming that these lines stick, which may not be the case because, the Red Wings – go up pretty quickly, and then they move Johansson back up there. But who knows what Hines is going to do? But like, if this line's going to stick, like Larkin, Mantha, and even Helm, if he's min priced, he had the shot bonus last game. So like, if you want to put him in, I think this is very advantageous for Larkin, Mantha for sure. Like their numbers, I mean, it's a small sample. They've played only like 50 minutes together, but they have a 4.32 expected goals for. 15 high danger chances, 4 per 60, 64% Corsi for. I mean, like those are ridiculous numbers, and it's just funny because it's Darren Helm. But like Larkin and Mantha together are just one of those elite combos. So I think for sure, like you're definitely going to have to consider them tonight. And then really on the Preds side, like yeah, I think that Nashville top line is going to get ownership, and if they're going to get any sort of like ownership at all, I definitely want to be underweight on them, especially like Granlund, just because you don't know, like Johansson's going to start on the third line, sure, but like is he going to finish there? Probably not.
No. Yeah.
So like for me on the Nashville side, like I feel like I say this every time, like the only thing you can really trust is Yossi and Ellis. So I definitely want some Yossi and Ellis and maybe some Arvidsson and Forsberg, but tread with caution if you're putting in Granlund.
Yeah. I mean, as always with Nashville, like you just don't really know. I think the line I'm most confident in sticking like in its entirety is the second line, Duchesne, Yarncroc, and Grimaldi. I think they've had pretty good results in their first couple of games. They have Very, very good 5-on-5 numbers. I think last game they outscored their opponent or out attempted 18-2.
They do have a very good matchup too. I just, it's like it's just tough putting in Yarncroc and Grimaldi for 5,700 without any power play time.
Yeah. So I mean, if you want to go like Duchesne with Arvidsson and one of the other two wingers on Duchesne's line, that's something you could do. But that'd be more if I was like hand building. I don't think I would get to a PP2 stack on a team that doesn't have a great power play. But anyways, you got Yossi on the Predator side. I think I'm going to be below the field on Nashville 1. I kind of echo everything you said. Who knows if they're going to stick together? And that's kind of my biggest problem. Plus, they're going to face a lot of time against the only line worth anything on the Detroit side. You really want to attack that Detroit depth. I think Forsberg and Arvidsson, if they stick together, are going to be glued on, or Detroit 1's going to be glued on them. So not a quality matchup. Not only does the Larkin Mantha Helm line have good 5-on-5 numbers offensively, but also defensively, they're pretty solid as well, especially for compared to the rest of this Detroit team. I think that's all I've got. I'm so not confident on Nashville, and just wanted to point out maybe that second line is one that I think I'll be over the field on in MMEs. I don't know if they'll get into like my $40 lineups or like my high end single entry lineups, but they'll be in the mix for sure for me. What about, did you mention like if you were MMEing on the Detroit line, the top line, where do you think you'd be on them?
I'd probably be, with Helm, I'd probably be overweight. And then I have to make a decision because like people are going to leave Helm off. So like I'd be more likely to leave Helm in just because he's min price. You don't really need much. And like everyone's going to leave him off. So like if Larkin and Mantha, that combo is going to get a decent amount of ownership, the way to get a bit unique is actually put Darren Helm in. So like I think I'd be over the field as the full line stack. And then like Larkin Mantha combos with was it Christian Juice is back on the power play. They moved Chronic down. So like that trio, I'd probably be more aware of what I was doing ownership wise. But if I'm going to put in Helm, I'm going to be over the field for sure.
Yeah. So I'm like right on where the field's at in my Detroit lineups. If the slate were to start right now, I'm at about 15% of Larkin, about 14% of Mantha, about, 10% of Helm. So I think he's projected to be 8% owned right now. He might even be less than that. But the one way I'm differentiating is going like Larkin, Mantha, and Bobby Ryan as just a power play one trio. I think that's fine. Would love it if Ryan started out with Larkin and Mantha. I think that'd be a pretty good trio to play and one I'd feel a little bit more confident in. But you got the Darren Helm conundrum. Like with the Joe Thornton thing, like I'll leave him on in some, I'll not have him on in some, I'll have some Larkin Mantha, two mans where it makes sense. But yeah, just want to make sure that Larkin and Mantha are the anchors of that line. I'm not getting like Darren Helm one-offs. Like no one has any time for that. So we good on this game?
Yeah.
All right. Last game of the night. Before you guys head out, if you could drop us a like, that helps us out. As always, we're giving you free stuff and trying to give you the nuts and win you some tournaments. We've had some success so far in our premium Slack chat. If you guys want to join, we've got the NHL weekly pass for $11.99. Actually, I think it's $11.95. So there you go. Save yourself 4 cents per week. And then, as Josh mentioned, we've also got an NHL Express Pass. If you're just looking to get the rankings and the premium Slack access, which is very important for NHL DFS, NHL Weekly Express is $3.95. You can come troll Josh, myself, Cliffy, and the rest of the crew in the premium Slack and tilt with us. We've got a good community in there. Oilers, Canucks, 3.4 implied total for the Oilers, 3.1 for the Canucks. It is Mike Smith, and it is actually, I shouldn't say it is Mike Smith. It's expected to be Mike Smith right now on my screen. Demko for the Canucks, possibly. We're not going to know goalies here. I don't remember off the top of my head if these goalies are priced the same as their backups, but I can check on that quick. Demko's 75. Holtby is
75.
Okay, and then Koskinen, is he 81?
He's 79.
79. Okay, so I would put in Smith. This is truly the final game of the night. So you would hate to have a team doing really well. You got Koskinen in there, and then you got to swap down to Thatcher Demko and play guys against your goalie type of thing. So I would just sacrifice the $200 and start out with Smith and go from there. What do you prefer in this game? I would guess I want to hear your thought process from a one lineup perspective here.
Hold on. Okay, so let's just assume that Horvat's going to see McDavid, because on their previous seasons when the Canucks have been home and they've played the Oilers, Horvat has seen McDavid for most of the time. If that holds true, right, that even though Horvat's their best defensive line, like I still want Edmonton one here, right? Puljujarvi is getting up there and his ice time's been going down, so like it's kind of because he hasn't been getting the power play one time. Nhl is out tonight, so maybe he just has to split time with the real deal Alex Chiasson for that power play one time, but like he still may only see half the time. If you want to leave him on Edmonton one, I think you definitely can do that. Like he's been great at 5-on-5. So assuming Horvat, McDavid, I want the McDavid line. Their ownership does scare me. I'd probably be under the field in MME. I probably want to be way under on McDavid or way over. It's just one of those things when you're putting in like a McDavid or Matthews, Ovechkin, I want to be way under, way over. Being at the field kind of doesn't get you anywhere. But really the meat and potatoes here is if the Horvat line is going to get McDavid, that means the Pettersson line is going to get the Leon Draisaitl line. And Cliffy has noted every time that the Oilers play that the Draisaitl line has been bailed out by goaltending. Like they have a 950. The Edmonton goalie has a 950 save percentage when Edmonton 2 on the ice, and that just is not sustainable. And the Pettersson, Besser, Miller line has looked great as of late. So if these matchups like hold true, the Pettersson line is going to run over the Draisaitl line. It's just whether or not the goalie is going to stop the shots, right? So the most exposure I want from this game is that Lotto line, the Pettersson, Besser, Miller line. I think this is my favorite spot of the night. I'm not going to be alone. They're definitely going to have ownership. Their prices are very reasonable, so I would imagine they garner a good amount of ownership. But that being said, definitely want to be overweight Vancouver too. I either want to be way overweight on McDavid or way underweight. Like if I go way under, it's just going to boost my Vancouver 2 more. So I'd make those decisions. I still have a little bit of like Canucks power play, like Horvat 4,900. I think you can include him, but really the meat and potatoes of this game for me is Van 2.
Yeah. I'm all over Vancouver. The matchups definitely matter for me. Like if we knew the Horvat line was up against McDavid, Nugent Hopkins, and Puljujarvi, like that was going to be their plan, then I would feel even better about the Pettersson line. But right now they're my highest owned line. And I think we're coming in a little bit low on the ownership on them. So even when that comes up into like the teens, I think you're going to see ownership somewhat split because the Horvat line is also very cheap. But yeah, like this Pettersson, Besser, Miller line has played like, I think they have 4 expected goals per 60 over their last 10 games and like 1 against. So going up against a line like Draisaitl, Kahun, and Yamamoto is not strong defensively at all. Or even if they see some time against the McDavid line. The point is, I don't think they're going to see all their time against McDavid, and that's what you would like to see. They've been playing amazing at 5-on-5. Been on Vancouver for a number of games in a row as they've kind of turned this around to some extent. They haven't been terrible defensively, but they cannot stay out of the penalty box. So I get it. People wanting to go to Edmonton 1. I want to go to Edmonton 1, but I think I'm going to be closer to like the 10% range on them, which I think by the time it gets a lock is going to be a little below the field. But I might be closer on a guy like Nugent Hopkins and Puljujarvi because I like the full stack with Puljujarvi. I hope people leave him off at that price, $5,500. But yeah, this is my favorite game of the night. I think I'll have some game stacks. Like I could see myself having some like 5-man Canucks stacks with Hughes and full PP1 and Demko in there with them. Like I think they're onslottable, both teams, because of how Vancouver can't stay out of the penalty box. And then I think it's an amazing 5-on-5 spot for both of the top 2 Canucks lines, but especially the Pettersson line. So yeah, favorite spot of the night. I will be slamming and probably pivoting at some point to like, you know, Edmonton 3 when all my lineups are dead and I've got chalk Vancouver and Edmonton at the end of this.
And Adam Gaudette, man, he's due for a hat.
So that's another line that I think you can play too. So yeah, man, this is the spot for me. This game, I don't usually game stack, especially on a 6-game slate, and I'm not even going to go out of my way to do it, but I think it's going to happen a fair amount. Defenseman, more correlation plays for me, although I will say I like Nate Schmidt as a one-off, or even with your Vancouver 2 stacks, probably going to play a lot at 5-on-5 with both of the top 2 lines and Edler. Maybe a good block shot spot for Jordy Ben as well. Any last thoughts before we head out?
If you're using Edmonton 1, you want to put in Barry, that's fine. I think Darnell Nurse, $200 cheaper. You can one-off him, even though he's not on the top power play. I think his peripherals are way better than Barry.
All right, get in Slack, everybody. Awesemo.com/join. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button on your way out. We will, Cliffy and Josh, we'll see you back tomorrow afternoon. Good luck, everybody.
Good luck. Yes.